The Nigerian Nightmare is finally back in the win column, and I have never been so happy to get a prediction wrong on this channel. It feels good, but I also predicted Joaquin Buckley to win by KO, so maybe I am a bit of a casual, maybe I'm a bit of a fake fan, but Kamaru Usman is one of my favorite fighters ever, and I gotta say, this was a pretty good fight night, man. There was a lot of fights where I just had a good time watching, dude, and obviously there were some interesting fights that were pretty boring, but you know, the first thing I want to talk about today is the legendary acting performance put on by Rodolfo Balato against Paul Craig. Everything was going picture perfect in this fight until the the final second of round one, when Paul Craig hit an illegal upkick on Rodolfo Balato. Rodolfo Balato then protested the upkick and then was knocked out. I've never seen anything like this. One of the weirdest endings to a fight I've ever seen. The guy protested the kick. He was talking to the ref. He was saying, he wasn't literally talking to the ref, but I think he shouted something to the referee. He was saying, hey, that's illegal. He falls back and he gets knocked out, and then he starts being schizophrenic, pretending like he's seeing ghosts. He's all scared. He's all crawling around in the octagon. He's all trying to fight the ref. Very, very confusing end to that fight. Paul Craig, I don't even know. Paul Craig was shocked. We were all shocked. Weird ending to that fight. We also have Malcolm Wellmaker KOing Chris Moutinho in the first round, doing what Sean O'Malley could not do for literally like 15 minutes. That was a banger of a knockout. Dude, that hook. Malcolm Wellmaker has insane power at bantamweight, dude. This kid is literally just becoming Sean O'Malley 2.0. He's taking out all Chris Moutinho all over again, dude. And welcome Malcolm Wellmaker, dude. This kid is someone to worry about in the bantamweight division. Also on the main card to open it up, we had Cody Garbrandt taking on Barcelos, and Cody Garbrandt looked quick, he looked fast, and he looked good again for one round. And then the last two rounds, he was just a shell of his former self. He was slow, his reactions were delayed, and he was not fighting like himself. Barcelos got the decision. I predicted Cody Garbrandt to get it done, and I am just very confused by this performance. You know, the first round, he looked so quick. He knocked down Barcelos. He was emoting. I literally thought we were going to get 25 minutes of Garbrandt back all over again. Dominic Cruz on commentary. He was glazing Cody Garbrandt. Everything was going perfect. And then I don't know, I won't even say he got gassed. It was just a really weird performance from Cody Garbrandt. I feel like he doesn't even want it anymore. I'm very confused by this performance. And yeah, man, I don't know what's next for Cody Garbrandt, but the kid's cooked. Meanwhile, Barcelos, you're on a 3-fight winning streak, buddy. I don't know what you want to do next. Then we had Edmund Shabazian taking on Andre Petroski. Very boring fight, not much to that fight. And then the co-main event, we had Namajunas taking on Miranda Maverick. This was a fun fight, I gotta say, man. I like these scrappy women's MMA fights. I've been very vocal about liking these scrappy ones MMA fights. It was just back and forth. The striking was there from both ends. Miranda Maverick had a pretty close submission locked in at the end of the second round. Namajunas escaped, and for some reason, like, the judges had this 30-27 Namajunas. You know, I'm not usually the type of guy to complain about a women's MMA fight because I don't really care, but I could argue Miranda Maverick 2-1. Miranda Maverick could have won that fight, but some of the judges gave it 3-0 Namajunas. Very confusing scorecard. I won't hate too much on it, but let's talk about the main event of the night. Kamaru Usman. Listen to Kamaru Usman. The Nigerian Nightmare's back, dude. Defeating Joaquin Buckley. Call it a fraud check. Call it whatever you want, but he is back, and he is better than ever. Maybe he's not better than ever because he is 38 years old in a division, probably the most stacked division in the UFC, but he takes out Joaquin Buckley, someone who I thought was very good, someone who I thought had potential to defeat JDM. I take that back. I said he was unstoppable. I said this man was a threat, and I said he would KO Kamaru Usman, and never have I ever been so regretful on my words, because Kamaru Usman showed out, dominating Joaquin Buckley for pretty much 5 rounds. You know, he kind of slowed down in that 5th round, and he just controlled the entire fight, really. If I'm being honest, from start to finish, the very first takedown, you could tell it was just going to be one of those nights for Kamaru Usman. Joaquin Buckley tried smiling, he tried laughing it off the first couple rounds, but as we just got further and further into that fight, it was clear there was a clear skill differential between these two fighters. Kamaru Usman is the second best welterweight of all time, and if he regains the title, who's to say he's not better than GSP? Meanwhile, one judge gave this a 48-47. I'm very confused where you could have got that from, but still, obviously, Kamaru Usman almost got robbed there, but I'm glad he wasn't, dude. What a performance from him. And what's next for him, man? I think we all know what's next for him. Book the fight. Book this fight. Belal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman. These two have been beefing continuously back and forth. They had a podcast together. Apparently there was a fight. We never seen the footage. Release the footage now, because we may actually be getting this fight, and I have never been so excited for a Belal Muhammad fight in my life. Belal Muhammad versus Kamaru Usman. These two have bad blood, and this would just be a number one contenders fight. Two former champions. Put this as a co-main of UFC 319 even, dude. Kamaru Usman didn't take a lot of damage in this fight. Maybe he did. He got rocked in like the final round a little bit, but I don't hate a quick turnaround for these, dude. 319, dude. Belal Muhammad, he's from Chicago. That's actually great matchmaking for me. Put this as the UFC 319 main event. Who says no? Belal Muhammad's from Chicago. Wait, that's where the UFC 319 is, right? Yeah, I think so. And Kamaru Usman, dude, I don't know. You didn't take a lot of damage in this fight. You're coming off a great win. Book that fight for UFC 319 co-main event. And if you don't want to book that fight, well then Kamaru Usman can get a title shot. I don't hate the idea of a Kamaru Usman title shot. A lot of people aren't going to like that. A lot of people are going to call me crazy. A lot of people are going to say, bro, Kamaru Usman was just on a 3-fight winning streak. The recency bias is crazy, and you got to look at Kamaru Usman's last 3 losses before this. You got to look at the context, dude. Well, look at his last 3 losses. Kamaru Usman's most recent loss was against Khamzat Chimaev, up a division, short notice. This fight is irrelevant when talking about if Kamaru Usman deserves a title shot. It's up a division on short notice. This has nothing to do with the welterweight division. We can completely disregard this fight. Obviously, it still happened, but it does not have to do when talking about the welterweight division. So let's disregard that loss. Then we have his loss to Leon Edwards, the 3rd fight, and I think this should have been a draw. To this day, I think it should have been a draw. And I'd even argue that Kamaru Usman could have won that fight. Maybe I'll make a video recapping that fight. We'll go through the highlights of that fight, and I'll explain to you guys why I think Kamaru Usman should have at least gotten a draw on that fight. And we look at the fight before that, obviously, the infamous head kick. He got head kicked in the Shadow Realm, but he was controlling, he was dominating that entire fight before that. A lot of people don't talk about that, and I think we should when referring to fights, that Kamaru Usman was dominating every aspect of Leon Edwards before that head kick. 1 minute left in the fight. Kamaru Usman could have gone down as the welterweight GOAT. Unfortunately, he got chinned brutally, and a lot of people don't talk about Usman in that status, but I see no reason why this man could not vouch for a title shot. He should be able to get a title shot. He deserves it, and I know there's so many contenders at welterweight right now, especially with Islam Makhachev moving up, but have him face the winner of Islam Makhachev and JDM. You know, that fight was so big. Kamaru Usman's former pound-for-pound number 1. Now Islam Makhachev's the pound-for-pound number 1. 2 former pound-for-pound number 1s. 2 of the most dominant champions in their respective division. Book that fight whenever, dude. Islam, that's a good retirement fight, and for Kamaru Usman, that's also a good retirement fight, and I like that. I'm really happy for Kamaru Usman, one of my favorite fighters ever. He's able to get back and a win, and that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you, boys, for watching. Call me delusional, call me crazy, let me know in the comments. MMA Outpost out.